Bulavanaka, welcome to episode 9. Great to have your company. I'm Greg Clark, and things are not going to plan for the Swire shipping Fijian Drua men after the loss to the Crusaders. They're now 1 from 7, they're bottom of the table, and they're winless in Suva so far. How do you fix it? Well, we'll be hearing from head coach Glen Jackson shortly. And to make matters worse, in Drua land, the Rooster Chicken Fijian Drua women lost their semi-final against the Queensland Reds in Brisbane, so their season is over. Guests this week include Glen Jackson, Drua Rugby General Manager Baden Stephenson, he'll wrap up the women's season, and former All Black great and now assistant coach of the Highlanders, Ben Smith, joins us. But first, the Crusaders executed the perfect game plan when they travelled to Suva, looking to break a 2-game losing streak to the Drua on Fiji soil.
So the crowd starts to roar, and we are underway in Suva. It is week 8, and the Fijian Drua to kick off against the Crusaders. And a second grab there, but a successful grab by Taylor Cahill. Counter run coming through from the Drua. But Reese goes in and digs it out of there and then takes it into the contact. Offside now is the call, and so another advantage being played as Cahill goes to ground. Kevin, a little shimmy. Jordan held up, got the pass away though to Hotham for the corner, and he dots it down. They've had all the play in the opening minutes. Even Stevens. McLeod goes to ground. Good solid defence from the Drua. Reese got the ball back on the inside to Hotham. He's dragged down 7 or 8 metres out. And they've got numbers here, and a clear run to the line for Antonio Shalfoon.
They're doing the simple things well, aren't they, the Crusaders? Nothing fancy, just clinical.
Tapped down and claimed by the youngster Isawa Tuwai. Only his 3rd appearance, but his first start, and there's another simple turnover. So the Drua, their own worst enemy at the moment, as Tom Christie goes to ground.
There it is.
Comes back for Hotham. McLeod and Jordan. Over on the far side now is Fihaki, and he is in front of family and friends on Fiji soil. One of the 4 Fijians in this Crusaders squad today with a Fiji connection. 3rd try for the season for him. We're underway for the second half in Suva. Marcy straight away to good line-out win for the Crusaders. Clinical stuff. Almore. Kamala. And Reese.
No, over top. Leave it, Drua. Thanks, Drua.
Working to the short side. Here's Jordan looking to get into action. Chipping. They're chasing. Springer keeps it on the toe, and he's going to score. Brilliant stuff from the Crusaders. Bit of spark from Will Jordan, and then the finish from Macca Springer, his 8th try for the season. The other handy replacement to come on with 20 to go. Advantage being played here for the Crusaders. They won't panic. They'll pick and go. They'll keep the pressure on. Manu! He is over! Ioane. So the Crusaders. Early call, I know, but it's redemption for them after a loss at home to Moana Pacifica last week.
Use!
Kicking game continues to work for them, but that time
by Crusaders.
It was cleaned up by young Isawa Tuwai. He'll benefit from a solid 80 minutes out there. His first start in Drua colours. Now Marcy puts the kick through, and Rambutu gets the ball, gets the bounce, and he gets the try. Finally! Let the crowd tell the story.
just around finding some momentum through kick pressure.
Quick throw in by Armstrong Rabula. They need to play in a hurry. Great run. Wonga. Antonio Wonga. Throws the dummy. Wonga! Antonio Wonga gets the second try. They go bang bang in Suva.
The Crusaders from the first minute to the 80th have dominated, particularly in defence, have just taken the opportunities in attack.
So that is full
Yeah,
time.
just back him down. Thanks, mate.
12-time champions in Super Rugby.
Third time lucky in Fiji for the Crusaders. The Drua were their own worst enemy. The line-out didn't function and 25 turnovers were very costly. They still have 4 home games to play and they are all definitely must-win now. 2 in Lautoka and 2 more in Suva. Let's check the results. The Chiefs won the top of the table clash against the Reds in Hamilton. Moana Pacifica were brilliant in the second half and they overran the Waratahs in Auckland. Crusaders were too smart for the Drua. The Blues edged out the Hurricanes in a close Kiwi derby in Auckland, and the Force moved into the top 4 with a 9-point win over the Highlanders in Perth. To the ladder, and it's the Chiefs on top with 26, 2 in front of the Crusaders. Reds are third, Force are fourth. Brumbies and Waratahs round out the top 6, so the 4 Aussie teams are still in that 6. Moana are the big improvers now on 15 points and just 2 points out of the 6. The Drua are all on their own in 11th. They need wins at home and on the road. And in the Player of the Year votes, we have a new leader, and it's no surprise, Moana's Adi Savua has moved to 22 votes, 1 ahead of Brumbies' Tom Hooper, and the Highlanders' Fijian-born captain Timothy Tavatanawai is third on 19, along with the fourth sensation Kalu Tasano, and the Chief Stadium Mackenzie rounds out the top 5 on 16. You're watching Drua Talk with Clarkie. It's a tough time for the Drua at the moment, and to talk about all that and more is head coach Glen Jackson. Well, coach, well, it was another frustrating day in Suva on Saturday. An improvement on Perth, but still not good enough at home.
Look, we've had a fairly good debrief, like I'm sure everyone in the country has, around just losing ball control and looking after the ball in contact, which is what the Crusaders lived off. And, probably when we look back on it, we certainly played better, but just without the, the structure that we need to let the boys show their flair.
At your after-match press conference, you spoke about trying to protect the players from all the pressure. Is it getting to them?
Oh, look, it's we're still a young club. I talk about it a lot. Well, of course, it gets to people when the nation is proud of the Drua, and when we take over as a head coach and new coaches and new young players, and we're one from 6 or 7, whatever it is, we're there's always going to be a little bit of pressure, but that's our job to take the pressure off their shoulders, wear the brunt of it, and make sure that they're ready for the Highlanders. And we're off tonight and heading there. And it was a good Talanoa on Monday around just making sure that we're relaxed and enjoying what we do, because it's the greatest job in the world and it's the greatest country to play rugby. So we just got to show that stuff and try and take the pressure off everyone's shoulders.
It seems to me that opposing sides now have a set game plan to beat the Drua. Kick a lot, slow the ball at rucks and use up as much time as possible to set the scrums and walk to the lineouts. Anything to stop the Drua's momentum. And the refs, well, they're letting them get away with it.
Yeah, it seems a little bit different, doesn't it, when we're playing in the heat and people fall over, and yet you see it everywhere in every other country. There's a lot of yelling and get up, we're not stopping for you. We've got to be smarter than how we manage that. I mean, you've got Cody Taylor and Will Jordan, guys that played 100 test matches, 100 Super Rugby games, are extremely smart in how to understand how to play the game. And at times it's our own misfortune that we stop talking in those little downtimes. So when we get those periods of downtime, we just something we talked about. Well, how do we get ourselves in continuing to be a good frame? And be smarter around what teams are trying to do to us.
What's the latest on the injury front, Glenn? And what was the thinking behind this week's squad?
Yeah, Frank Lamani's shoulders, he's tried really hard to look after that shoulder. Unfortunately, we lost him very early in the game, which didn't help us. So Frank Frank is unfortunately won't be playing, and it will depend on how it looks for the rest of the season. So that's going to be a big loss for us and the captains. We decided to give Mess a go at hooker and be captain. I think he's been around for a long time in this club, and he's showed a lot of leadership. He deserves a good run out, and other than that, we've got a pretty settled forward pack. Caleb Muntz, we want to go back. I know the Highlanders are very intelligent around their kicking game, so Caleb, to have two playmakers on the field, that's why we've gone for him at fullback. And I thought Inia and Mussy did really well on the weekend, so retained them and gone back to a normal bench. So Tuandraki comes back in, and obviously the way young CK played in the weekend, it's exciting to see him come back on after the bench as well. Eto, unfortunately, he suffered HIA. So, it's disappointing because, after a superstar try, it would have been nice to see him out again, but he failed his HIA, so he's probably out for a week.
Okay, another road trip, this time to Dunedin to play the Highlanders on Saturday. Have you come up with anything new to try as you look to break the drought on the road?
Yeah, again, how we're travelling, it's similar to how we travelled to Wellington, and if we look back at Wellington's game, I thought we were very unlucky not to get the win, so I think that suits us, getting to New Zealand, staying the night in Auckland and then heading down the next day to Dunedin. It's a bit of a trick, as you know, Clarkie, to get down to Dunedin, so we're sort of trying to break that up, and again, it's not really talking about the away game, it's just talking about the faith that I have as a head coach in these young men, and what they can do when they, unleash their natural talents and stop worrying too much about results and scoreline. And the Highlanders play a pretty good brand of footy, very similar to sort of our style. So under the roof, it's just time to relax and enjoy what they can and what they love to do and paid to do.
Just elaborate for us, how do you rate the Highlanders?
Very hard-working. I think Jamie Joseph is an excellent coach, obviously been all around the world. Highlander proud. Ben Smith obviously been involved, Dave Dillon, so they've got a good coaching group, but they haven't probably had the results. They've been a bit similar to us, really. I guess they've all their games that they sort of lost been pretty close. But they'll be hungry to get back home. As we know, this is a big battle of where we are in the table. I said to the players, look, we're still three wins, the way the tournament's going, we're still 3 wins out of the top 6, and that's something we're striving for. So by no means are we even thinking that the season's over. And so this is going to be a big battle. But the Highlanders, there's no doubt about it, they play a full 80-minute game. Good little 9 that zips around the field, and as you know, Big Jim, either 12 or fullback, he's been a revelation. It's a shame he's not on the Drua jersey and striving for that All Black jersey. It would have been nice to see him in Fiji, but we're excited to get down there and play against them.
Jacko, all the best on Saturday. Go well, mate. Banaka.
Thanks, Mikey. Appreciate it.
Can the Drua pull off an upset on the road when they travel to Dunedin to take on the Highlanders? It's hard to tip the Drua on the road, but let's hope they can spring a surprise and finally win away from home. Now let's hear from the Highlanders camp and All Black great, and Highlanders assistant coach Ben Smith joins us. Well, Ben, thanks for your time, mate. Well, you were competitive in both recent games on the Aussie tour, but you couldn't close them out. What went wrong in Canberra and in Perth?
Buller. So we obviously, both the Force game and the Brumbies game, there's key parts of our game that we've reflected on that we'll get right. Obviously, quality opposition, and there was periods of the game where we actually nailed it, and it's doing that for 80 minutes. So it's making sure that we take a good look at our performance and we really improve going into the Drua.
You're back at home this week. The lads must be really looking forward to playing in front of your home fans. Again, it's been a while.
Yeah, the team's really excited about getting home. Obviously, we get good crowds here in Dunedin, and the team's really excited after a couple of games away to get a home game is obviously pretty special.
Now, you've played a lot of Super Rugby, over 150 games. So what do you make of the tournament so far? It seems any team can win on the day.
Yeah, I think the competition's been great. It's been great watching other games, tuning in, and I watched the Moana game in the weekend against the Waratahs in 2 different halves, but I think that was a great example of watching rugby in the weekend and just not being able to turn the tally off with the amount of footy that's being played in good spirit, and also the attractive brands that teams are playing.
The Highlanders are still within striking distance of the top 6, so home games like this Saturday against the Drua are must-win, aren't they?
Yeah, obviously they're all important games for us, and I know for us as a team it's going to be really sticking to our process, making sure that we take the learnings from the Force game and apply it this weekend, and we'll nail our process, and then that gives us the best chance to proceed in this competition. So it'll be really process driven for us as to what we do this week.
What about the Drua? Do you think teams have now worked out how to beat them, or are you worried about them? They can strike from anywhere.
Yeah, they're obviously a dangerous team, the Drua. You saw a couple of good tries against the Crusaders in the weekend, but they tipped over the Chiefs over in Fiji. They're a dangerous team, and the way that we respect the Drua is how we prepare through the week, and we'll be getting our process right to put out a good performance in the weekend. And yeah, we're looking forward to doing that, being back at home.
And mate, there is no shortage of Fijian players in your squad, namely Jonah Nareki and captain Timothy Tavatava Nawai, who's been in great form. They must be looking forward to playing the Drua.
Yeah, I think obviously it's always for them being able to play against the Drua. It's a privilege for them, and they're always very excited for these kind of games.
Ben, thank you very much for joining us. Let's hope Saturday is a great game between 2 teams desperate for a win. Vinaka.
Vinaka, Clarkie, thank you.
This week's Shop and Save Super Rugby Pacific draw sees the Hurricanes host the Crusaders in a Friday night all-Kiwi affair in Wellington, followed by the Waratahs and Chiefs in Sydney. The Tars need to bounce back in a hurry. Saturday it's the Blues and Moana in the Auckland Derby at Eden Park, Highlanders and Drua in Dunedin, and there's an all-Aussie blockbuster at Suncorp in Brisbane with the Reds playing the Brumbies. More great Super Rugby Pacific on the way this weekend. Enjoy. Time to talk Super Rugby women, and the Rooster Chicken Fijian Drua were in action in Brisbane on Sunday, taking on the Reds in a semi-final. The Drua women are familiar with the business end of the season, but they needed to improve on recent performances. Unfortunately, they were too slow out of the blocks. Here are the highlights.
Reds! She got the fend going. Morgan looking for runners, finds Christ. Christ stays on her feet, powerful. Already scored 1 today. Here's Malloy. Malloy powers her way over. On the angle. So Malloy. So many playmakers for this red side. So running a lovely angle on the inside. Hand in the air. Try to the youngster. And the Drua hold out the Reds here. They're really putting the pressure on once again. Now they set them all up. Price is there. Malloy wants it. Malloy for her second. Held up over the line. She just got... Oh, it's a penalty try, in fact. Referee goes under the posts. And it's a straight 7 for the Reds. And it'll be a yellow card, double jeopardy. Very close. Tiatau just takes it in high and have penalty advantage. Still there for the Reds. Now Kapani goes over herself. Oh, that was just ripped out of contact there from Kapani, but it's play on. And lovely line there from Nikisa. She pins the ears back. Offside. No hands, hands up. Here it is for Marawa. They pick and go again. This time they get the try. The Drua are just clawing their way back into this match. To Nikesa. Kinita. Ralumu. Drua with all the momentum here. They go short side. Vania Ray scores! Into the 22. Kramer. They come the short side now. Kapani batting off the defenders and getting up short. She goes again. Eva Kapani in for a second.
It's tit for tat in ascendancy, and we are in for a thrilling last 10 minutes. It's really, really exciting here.
It's a runaway freight train here for the Drua as well. All the way, they do score. Feet out of that first tackle. Now Kramer goes wide. Flynn leaves it behind. Look out, look out. Here comes Naikore. Naikore soccering ahead. Needs to sit up. It does. Goodness me. Against the run of play. Malloy looking for another. She's short. Now Jacoby. It's Charlie Jacoby. Goes the other side, kind of knocked out of their grasp. The Reds survive. And they march on into a Super Rugby Women's Grand Final. But there is not a fingernail left here at Ballymore. A nail biter in the end.
And an amazing second half effort from the Drua women, but the damage was done in the first half when they leaked 42 points. The Reds holding on to win 54-40. The Waratahs beat the Western Force in Sydney by 54-17. High scoring semis indeed. This Saturday, it's the decider at North Sydney Oval between the old rivals New South Wales Waratahs and Queensland Reds. For their fourth season, there is no Drua in the final. So, where did it all go wrong for the Drua women? Joining us now is Drua General Manager of Rugby, Baden Stephenson. Well, Baden, it was hard to watch that first half in Sunday's semi. What did you put that horror start down to? Was it travel? Lack of experience? What's your take on it?
Yes, Clarkie, it certainly was hard watching that first half. I know we were all bitterly disappointed, including the players. Look, there's a couple of things. I think it was well documented throughout the week that we were disappointed with Rugby Australia's policy with the travel allocations, where we only arrived at lunchtime on the Saturday for the Sunday game. So we had a reasonably short preparation after the international flight. However, that's not an excuse at all. The team prepared well, had a really good week at training. Look, it was very frustrating to start slowly. We certainly let Queensland pile on the points and weren't probably good enough to stop their momentum at key points in that first half.
Baden, there is a common belief that the other teams have caught up with the Drua women and overtaken them in the fitness and skills department. Do you agree?
Yeah, I'm not sure about that. I think a little bit like the men's program, the men's Super Rugby competition, you've now got a very healthy and strong competition and very even competition across the teams. I know obviously Australian have reduced down to 4 teams. The Australians took a policy to introduce Australian sevens players, which were elite, and I think each of those teams have lifted. There's no doubt, I think in the early years in 22, there was a little bit of an element of surprise with the Fijian Drua team. I think they played a different style to what the Australian teams were used to. But I would also suspect a little bit like Glen just talked about in his media conference, some of the teams are really working hard on how to play in Fiji, how to play against the Fijian Drua teams. And they're definitely improving. But I would certainly say that our team had some good growth throughout the year, but it's certainly pretty small margins at the end of the day.
Now, despite knocking over the defending champs, the Waratahs in Sydney in week 1, the Drua women never really went on with the job. So what lessons have been learned?
Oh, look, I think every season you have a lot of lessons, and we did have a turnover of a new coaching staff and a new playing group, and it does take a little bit of time. The Super W is such a short competition that you don't have a lot of time to gain cohesion. We had one trial. I know some of the other teams had 3 trials even before the season started. So we came in. We were thrilled with the first up win. There's some good learnings in regards to, I think, being professional and being consistent is the key point that I think that we're constantly talking about here at HQ with both the men's and women's program. Consistency of performance, consistency of training, consistency of behaviours, and certainly consistency of what the athletes are doing outside of the building, in their downtime. And it's a big shift for a lot of the athletes in regards to being professional with their diet and their fitness and their recovery and their analysis of the game. But there's certainly the vast majority are working really hard and making good strides to really develop themselves as people, but also good athletes into international athletes.
Mate, what are the positives from this year's campaign? Who were the standouts?
Yeah, look, we were thrilled. Nakora and Lamani, who were two players that both came back from, had been here at the Drua, then went and played overseas, and they came back. I think they were two very, very consistent performers. And if you look across our team, while we did have some really good experience, some of the youth and some of the consistency of the performers that were quite new to the team. I think Fisher, Litiana, Josie, and a player with a huge potential and future is young Coletta. She's only 17. She made her debut this year. I think she will be a player that will not only be a standout performer for the Drua in future years, but I'd say for the Fijiana national team. I think if she was 18, I think she would have travelled to more away games. And she's a real goer and a real athlete, and I can see her being a cornerstone of the Drua future. So a lot of the girls really did step up, and we've unearthed some new talent. And obviously moving into the Rugby World Cup, it'd be brilliant to see some of those girls push for future higher honours.
It's a Rugby World Cup year for women, so what happens now for the Drua women?
Yeah, so the girls only arriving back today from Brisbane on the Tuesday. So they're coming in tomorrow. We're doing a review, medicals, and a meeting just to talk about what is next. So the girls will have a couple of days off for the back end of this week, and then the Fijiana squad we'll start with some skills training next week. I think there's 3 days of skills training just to keep the girls working, ticking over, keeping their strength and conditioning up, and then they'll go into camp down at Singatoka in preparation for that Wallaroos Test match on the 3rd of May, which will be a double header with the men's team and will be a great event in Suva.
Baden, what does the future hold for the Drua women as far as pathways go?
Yeah, well, I think some of the girls that I've just mentioned have just come through the pathway system. I think Alana Thomas, head of performance with the FRU. There's the women are running a very good pathway out of the schools into the HPU, and that's sort of where we're picking up and bringing some of the girls through into the Drua squad. We also had some development players with our main squad this year, which gained a lot of excellent experience being in a professional environment. And look, we'll continue to do that. And as you know, Clarkie, we've only just launched our inaugural Drua Academy, and that's for the men's under 17s. And Mark Evans has done a brilliant job to really set a pathway and trying to get resources and funding so that we can pad that out to extend to different age groups. And over time, we would definitely like to bring in a women's Drua Academy, but with sort of stepping stones to start with. But we've got a genuine pathway through the high performance unit in Suva, which is working pretty well.
Okay, semi-finalists this year, so there's something to build on. Baden, thanks for chatting to us, and let's hope the Fijiana do well in this year's World Cup. And we look forward to the Fijian Drua getting back on top in Super Rugby Women's next season. Vanaka.
Vanaka, Clarkie, thanks for your time. Cheers.
And also congratulations to the Fijian Drua Men's Academy team who beat the touring Melbourne Brothers side 40-17 in Nandi on Monday. Some fine young talent was on display. Well, that's it for another week of Drua Talk. Good luck to the Fijian Drua in Dunedin Saturday. Have a great week, folks. I'm Greg Clark, and I'll leave you with a look at the Drua team for Dunedin. Mode!